So, my boyfriend's family is actually billionaires. The problem is, they're part of some very crooked dealings, and I don't know if I should continue with this relationship as the grandfather has threatened my life. Let me tell you this entire wild story. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get right down to it. I met my boyfriend 6 months ago while traveling. His family is extremely wealthy, like billionaires. I'm pretty sure they have some sort of mafia kind of relationship to the country they reside in. This is conjecture, but their wealth is very real. The things I've heard from him about his family are insane. Their behavior is definitely not normal. The things they do remind me of some evil family out of a novel. If it wasn't for the fact that I fell in love with my kind and caring boyfriend before hearing about this, I would have not entered this relationship. I'm planning on visiting my boyfriend and his family's country soon. He's told his other family members when I'd be arriving. His grandfather, a man who's been banned from 11 restaurants for how he acts, who has to have a bodyguard with him because he's angered so many people by threatening to kill them, that it's created many grudges against him, who forced his own maid to have an affair with him, who threatened to shoot a government official in his face. Seems like he decided he dislikes me. These are some of the tamer anecdotes from this family. My boyfriend told me that his grandfather, quote, threatened to put me in concrete and throw me off a cliff, but my boyfriend, quote, would not let him. This has me rethinking the entire trip as I no longer feel safe. I told my boyfriend and he was upset, stating this is how his grandfather jokes and he obviously would not do anything like that to me, but I'm not sure. I don't even know why his crazy grandpa decides he dislikes me all of the sudden. My boyfriend is normal, but he's very desensitized to the insanity of his family. Doesn't understand why I'm afraid to visit him now. What do I do? Should this relationship just be over? I do love my boyfriend, and he plans on moving to my country eventually, so it's not like I'll have to deal with his family a lot. But if I can ever visit him in a place he considers home, and he doesn't understand my fears, I'm not sure about the longevity of our relationship. What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. This is a very intense sort of topic. There's a full update for this. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here or you're not subscribed yet. And also, if you're enjoying, smash that like button. Here's the update for story number 1. I had a long talk with my boyfriend this morning about his family and canceling the trip. He was initially upset about me no longer wanting to come see him, as he really did want to show me the country he grew up in and spend time with me here. He did not really intend to make me spend a lot of time with his family. Regardless, I did not feel comfortable either way spending time with people I find to be objectively evil. Although my post focused on his grandfather, his actions pale in comparison to his uncle, and his mother's also insane. He decided he would come see me instead, which is usually what we do. He clarified that his grandfather was really just joking. I posted a screenshot of our text message in another comment, but his grandfather was, quote, playfully threatening my boyfriend with throwing me off a cliff covered in concrete as a means to get him to do something. He offered to let me talk to his grandfather, but I refused. Still, I'll not be risking it, so I'm not going. A lot of comments on my last post gave me a lot of things to think about in regards to my relationship. One commenter asked whether or not my boyfriend being surrounded by such crappy people means that he sees having mistresses as normal, and might bring that into our relationship going forward. Another one asked whether my boyfriend, coming from such wealth, can ever truly disentangle himself from his family, with that much money on the line. A lot of people, though, were outraged at my boyfriend still having a relationship with his grandfather, despite what he's done. I brought up all this to my boyfriend, especially how worrying it is to me that he seems so desensitized to how evil his family is. A lot of the stuff I could not bring up in my last post. My boyfriend told me he holds none of the values that his family has. He spent a significant part of his life with his other parents' family in another country, who are actually good people. So I think that's why he ended up so normal in comparison to them. He told me he would never cheat on me, that he's been thinking lately that I'm the one he would love nothing more than to spend the rest of his life away from his family with me. I asked him if that was possible, considering the financial aspect. He told me originally had worked under the umbrella of his family's companies at one time, but could not go on because of how they treated the poor workers, and he just did not feel right about it. One member of his family called him soft because he actually treated the people there humanely and kindly, and that he doesn't even have what it takes in the family because of that. Now, he has his own company, but it doesn't have anything to do with that side of the family. He's running the company with the help of the other side of the family, which I said before is normal. He said that he plans to sell that business eventually and move here when he decided to take that step. I asked him whether or not he would be able to go no contact with his relatives. As I said before in edits, his family also did a lot of messed up stuff to him growing up, and are also disappointed in him for not being involved in their business. He told me he never intended to spend the rest of his life near them. And while he thinks they're insane, he doesn't necessarily hate them. He told me he would never invite them to our lives if that's what I wanted. That there have been many family members who move to foreign countries and live normally. They don't have anything to do with the main family. That made me feel better about the whole thing. He said that eventually he may have to return to his country briefly to deal with any inheritance his grandfather may leave him. But outside of going low to no contact is fine with him. I feel like this conversation was enough to keep moving forward with our relationship, unless he shows me that none of the stuff he said was true. This brings me to the biggest question a lot of people had. Is this 6-month relationship worth being connected to that sort of family? My boyfriend has been one of the gentlest, sweetest relationships I've ever been in. He writes me love letters often, buys silly little sentimental things even if I just mention it in passing, plays me love songs on his instrument. He's extremely attractive, and we have a great life. I can tell there are parts of him that are messed up a bit from his environment, but the fundamental part of him I'm attracted to is kindness. Not just to me, but everyone I've seen him and heard him interact with. I'm not interested in my boyfriend's family's money. I do well enough in my own career, and even if he was penniless, it would be very easy to support us myself. If I felt like my life was truly in danger here by just being in a relationship with him, or that he would ever retaliate against me if we broke up, I would feel differently and we would no longer be together. While my boyfriend's family has their own paramilitary force in their own country, they don't really have any influence here in my country, and they don't seem interested in any part of their family that's moved away from them and lives normal lives. I think I'm safe, and I thank others for being worried about me. I hope that alleviates a lot of worry commenters here. I really want to thank the people who messaged and commented really good evidence and questions to bring up in my relationship. This was a really crazy situation I've never been in before. So guys, this is a very interesting story. I want to know from you, what would you do if you were in OP's position? Do you think OP made the right choice? Drop your opinions down below in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. The next story that we're going to look at today, OP's fiance's estranged family reaches out in hopes of reviving contact with him. You guys will not believe how wild this story gets. Hit that subscribe button and tune in daily as we read stories every single day. Here comes story number 2. I'm a 28-year-old female, my fiancé is 34, and we've been together for 4 years now. He was in a previous marriage before we met, that ended in divorce because his ex-wife had a long-term affair. During their marriage, my fiancé was diagnosed with cancer, went through a very tough battle. During that time, his family found out that his wife was cheating on him through a third party, but they did not tell him because he was very sick. They basically hid the truth from him and let his ex-wife be around him. My fiancé thankfully won his battle, and towards the middle of his recovery, his ex-wife came clean because she felt guilty. She told him that she wanted to come clean before his family convinced her to keep quiet for his sake. My fiancé felt betrayed by both his wife and the family. When he got better, he divorced and eventually moved away from the city he, his ex-wife, and his family lived in. He very rarely speaks to his family, maybe 3 times a year, and they tend to be very short and superficial conversations. His relationship with his family is very strained and practically non-existent. I've never met any of his family members for the entire time we've been together. They have not come to visit, and he's not gone to them. Today, I received a message on Facebook from what seems to be his older sister. I have no idea how she found me, but she seems to know about my fiancé and I being engaged. Long message short, she asked if I could help reunite my fiancé and his family. She talked about them maybe flying to our city and asked if I could somehow get my fiancé to meet. I haven't responded to her. I don't know if I should. She explained why they did not tell him about his cheating wife. According to her, they did not want to bring any more suffering and pain, which I somehow understand. I'm not saying I agree with what they did or would do something like that. I also very much get and respect how my fiancé feels. Even better, the whole cheating thing. My fiancé said he's had other problems with his family in the past. It seems he's always had a difficult relationship with his family. Basically, I wanted to ask, what do you guys think I need to do? Do I try to help them, or do I just ignore his sister's message? I think that sometimes in life, we might need others to encourage us into doing something we don't want to do, because it could ultimately benefit us further down the road. But at the same time, we should not force or push people into doing just something like that. Edit. I'm going to tell him about the messages regardless. He's coming home later this evening, and that's when I'll tell him. I just wanted to say beforehand, get advice on whether I should encourage him to reconsider the situation, if he initially says he does not want to do it. Or should I not say anything if he says no and just drop it forever? What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. That's a good question. Let me know in the comments down below what you think OP should do. There's a complete update for this. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. I showed my fiancé messages, which is something I was always going to do. He wasn't home when I received it, and I was waiting for him to get home. He read it, and we ended up having a long conversation after that. He told me more about his relationship with his family members. I already knew since a long time ago that his parents passed away when he was young, which made his upbringing very hard. As an adult, he became the most accomplished member of his family, and kind of took care and helped his siblings. I knew that they would take advantage of him numerous times, and he told me a few stories in the past, but he ended up telling me other ones that made me thankful we don't have to include them in our lives. My fiancé ended up responding to her from my account, and signed the message with his name. His sister replied with a very long message, followed by an audio recording accusing me of trying to keep him away, and calling me a selfish, gold-digging jerk. My fiance and I listened to her audio together, and he wanted to respond to her, but I convinced him it wasn't worth it, and that she was probably just wanting a reaction. I guess it's safe to say I'm never meeting his family, or at least his older sister. Anyways, thanks for the help. Well, it seems like OP might have dodged a bullet with not having to see this side of the family. One commenter says, "Well, sister sounds like a gem." Glad OP dodged that. So guys, let me know in your own thoughts and opinions what you thought of this story, and if you think OP should be involved more with that side of the family, even though they're all toxic. The final story of the day is an Am I the A-hole story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my parents my inheritance, even though I technically don't need it? I'm 24 female, and my great-grandfather passed away from COVID in 2020. He was 107. In the event of his death, our grandmother, his daughter, was to give myself and my sisters, both 21 female, his graduation present. Basically, a portion of our inheritance. This particular check was about $20,000 per kid, and was kept aside for us three to have when we graduated college, to help pay off some student loans with, quote, more on the way as we aged. I got very lucky in life for someone my age, and I'm aware of this. I went to a private college with almost $200,000 in scholarships, and had about $30,000 in federal loans after I was done and got my degree. With the loan forbearance, I've managed to get my loans down to $18,000. Yesterday, as many know, the president announced $10,000 in student loan forgiveness. I happen to qualify, which knocks my loans down to $8,000. Literally all day, my parents have been harassing me to, quote, give back grandpa's money. Basically, they found out that my grandparents handed it over a couple months ago. Because we weren't expecting the last forbearance extension. According to my grandma, after the $10,000 announcement, my mom called and asked what they would do with my inheritance, and grandma explained she already gave it to me. My parents are saying that with the money I earn at my job and my $10,000 forgiveness, I don't need the money. My dad wants to take some courses that'll enhance his business, and my mom wants to take some hobby art courses. I don't know what to call them. They're like classes to paint stuff, but they're not college courses. Honestly, they're kinda right. I mean, on paper, I don't really need the inheritance because I can pay off $8,000 easily before the loans are even due. However, it's mine. Great-grandpa had a stipulation that anything left over from the loans, if there was something, is ours to keep. It's just simply not for anyone else. And my parents know this. Not to mention, I believe my mother got a rather healthy inheritance from him as well. So I don't see why they need my money specifically. My grandparents are super angry at my parents for asking me for this, but they're the only ones on my side. My sister thinks I owe my parents for all they've done for me. And my parents are going by the quote, what's yours is mine, and we spent XYZ to raise you. So you owe us now that you're functioning. It's really tiresome and annoying, to be honest. I kinda just want to block my whole family except my grandparents. But even my friends are kinda leaning into what my parents are saying. One even suggested that I was spoiled, and I should at least give them $12,000 left over to be fair. I'm too tired to deal with this. Am I the a-hole? So the best comment I found for this story, it had the most votes and it said, not the a-hole. If your sisters are so generous, let them give their inheritance to their parents. It's easy to be generous with other people's money. I agree with that comment, but let me know what you thought of this, or if you've ever been in a similar situation, drop your stories down below. Alright guys, that's all the stories I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. And remember, it's cool to be kind. The latest Mr. Reddito producer, Christine Billings. Thank you so much for the support.